Alright, so I have a question in regards to the concept that you have to learn about Mashiach. So, therefore,
who said you have to learn about Mashiach? Where do you get this from?
So I'm asking. That's what I'm asking you. Don't be.
Yeah, then.
No.
No.
You know, not to like jump down my throat. I'm just as a question.
It's much more fun to jump down your throat.
Oh, for sure. I could jump down yours too, but
I know.
You could get very aggressive. I could take off my shirt. You could go ahead. You know, but so one of the 13 attributes discusses about
Mashiach.
Mashiach.
Not attributes.
Principles. Sorry, 13 principles talks about Mashiach.
We have to be up to the one about Mashiach.
Have to be what?
We have to be up to that one.
Okay, fine, fantastic.
Yes. So Rabbi Sai, tonight we're going to talk about the 12th principle of the Rambam, which is
13.
Well, I had a question
12,
before.
the 12th.
You mentioned Mashiach. I wanted to say ask something about Mashiach.
The number 12th principle is, guess what?
Mashiach.
Mashiach. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
So here we are. Don't worry. We'll field all questions. Okay? First, let's make sure we understand the principle correctly. Right? As everybody knows the song, right? The two aspects of this principle, unlike the other principles, which have only a statement of belief, this one also has an additional aspect to it. It says you have to believe that there's going to be Bias Mashiach, and you also have to yearn for its coming. Achakelo. I am waiting for Mashiach to come. The reason that this is so, this incorporating the principle, is because one of the questions that the Chazal tells you asked after you die is Sipisal Yeshua. Did you look forward? Do you anticipate the ultimate redemption? And therefore, we see from this that there's a fundamental requirement not just to believe in a Redeemer, but to want to be redeemed. Okay, so those are two specific aspects. And they're separate. Now, people make mistakes all the time. People make the mistake, not chas v'shalom anybody here, but people make the mistake of thinking that you have to believe Mashiach is coming today. Anybody ever hear that? Yeah.
Everybody says that. I totally disagree.
Right, it's not true. You knew it wasn't true, right?
I totally disagree with it. I think it's a ridiculous thing.
Right. What? Sometimes it could, sometimes it couldn't. Mashiach doesn't come on Fridays, it says. Right? Mashiach doesn't come on Fridays. So on Friday, you're waiting for Mashiach, but you don't think it's coming today, right? You see,
It's caught up in traffic.
how can it come on Friday? Because the housewives would rebel. They ain't going anywhere on Friday. Yeah. So Klaiso is too much involved in preparing for Shabbos.
Where do they get this from? This whole idea of waiting
What?
any day,
Tomorrow.
any second.
No, because people,
Any second.
he can't come every second.
Can't come on Shabbos.
It doesn't come on Friday or on Shabbos. Yeah.
What?
So, wait. So where it comes from is that people get confused between yearning for Mashiach every day and assuming that he's coming every day. It's not the same thing, but people very easily confuse the two. That's why this mistake became very common and widespread. Okay?
No, but there was a story of a rabbi who, I forgot the name, who always had like a suit ready.
Yeah, but that's...
Chaim had that too?
Well, the Chavetz Chaim, Nassim Wachtvogel, I'm sure there have been other ones. But the point of the story is not that he believed Mashiach is necessarily coming every day, but he was always eager for Mashiach to come. That was the point. He was eager, he was excited, he wanted Mashiach to come very badly. Most of us don't want Mashiach to come. Most of us... You do?
We're not talking about snacks here. We're talking about...
No. Most of us don't want Mashiach to come because most of us are very... just want to have more comfort in the style of life to which we become accustomed. Very few of us are willing to undertake radical change. Now, we don't know if Mashiach is going to bring radical change or not, but certainly when Mashiach comes, we want Mashiach to come on our terms, not on his terms. So if Mashiach turns out to be my ally in my aspirations, then I'm cool with it. But Mashiach's going to come, he's going to tell me, you know what, whatever you were doing till now is wrong. Now you have to change course. We don't want that kind of Mashiach, right?
New change. Time for change.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
He's going to say it should all become snags. Now what?
There's a problem.
Is there a distinction between Mashiach comes between different phases of it? Like, is that really the beginning of Olam Haba?
We'll go. We'll talk about that.
Oh, you will.
So, Rabbi,
Yes, we're just starting. Yeah.
Maybe when the recording is not on, I was wondering if you can discuss on speakerphone. I have one of my friends who who actually discusses different various laws about Mashiach, something like that. I was wondering if you can give a little insight.
Laws about Mashiach?
Not laws about Mashiach, but I mean various concepts, and especially in regards to the.
Why can't we do it on camera?
Well, I mean, the question is, would you think everyone else would be quiet and be able to listen and want to listen and instead of jumping down everyone else's throats?
You mean you're going to put it on speakerphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody would be very cool with that.
That'd be okay.
Everybody wants to have a good fight, right?
Yeah. Get on your boxing gloves.
That's great. No comments, guys.
Whoa. Hey, that's not fair.
You can't listen. It's done on speaker. You can't really fully understand, and you can't get the communication right.
You can't say no comments in the middle of our share.
No, that's what
Give me a second. Hey, Shmulik, I have a question. Are you sitting down? I was wondering, would it be possible? I'm going to put you on speaker, and you can discuss with one of our rabbis. He's discussing the 12th attribute of the 12th principle of Rambam about Mashiach, and I want to know if you can give him some insight, and he can give you back and forth just various topics. I'm just very curious to see how it goes. Would that be okay? Can it be right now? Because we're middle of class. Yeah. Everyone's actually anticipating this. Oh, you're learning with somebody right now.
Too bad.
Wait.
Anyway, while we're waiting for this, so first of all, there is an opinion in Masechus Sanhedrin, which is Rabbi Hillel. We don't know exactly who this is. Rabbi Hillel says that there is no Mashiach, and the Gemara rejects him. The Gemara says he's wrong, but there was such an opinion by one of the Amoraim. He says that they already consumed the time of Mashiach in the days of Chizkiyahu, whereas the time of Mashiach is very short, and therefore it was already used up.
Yeah, but then okay, and you're going to
discuss it back and forth?
Right, it's very different than our idea.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Right, and the Gemara,
his idea makes sense.
right, the Gemara rejects him.
1 second. Hello.
Yes.
All right, you're on speaker right now.
Yeah, Shalom Aleichem. Good evening.
No.
Hi.
This is Rabbi.
Oh, I'm.
Tell me your name. Introduce yourself.
My name is Yosef Beckhofer. Sadia wants you to speak to me about Mashiach, and I'm happy to listen and respond. I don't know exactly what the agenda is. I guess Sadia set up one in advance. So, by all means, let's hear what you have to say.
We'll start off with the 12th attribute, 12th principle of the Rambam, where it discusses that you have to learn about Mashiach and believe that Mashiach is coming.
It doesn't say you have to learn about Mashiach. It says you have to anticipate his coming, believe his coming, and anticipate his coming, yearn for his coming.
If I got clicked off, this is going to be really annoying. I hate singling.
Correct. It doesn't say in the Rambam you need to learn about Mashiach. It says you have to await his coming.
Right. Okay.
So, my question was asking, what about believing that there's a Nasi in our times and various other points that
What about what?
that we have to believe that there's a Nasi in our times?
That there is.
A Nasi, a prince, a leader. What?
Really, that doesn't say in the Rambam either.
Yeah, it doesn't say the Rambam. I agree. Yeah.
No, to be honest with you, didn't really have any list of things. I was just.
Now there are various diukim in other stuff brought in other svarim that lead to other yonim, but you can't say the Rambam says it if the Rambam doesn't say it.
Right. I think that Sadia probably would want us to wait till we got to something which is more directly related to issues of concern.
I think it's got to be a solid shaila, a solid issue, perhaps of a munah or something like that, to discuss not just Indian Kloli, not just in general Indian law. Do we have to believe there's a Nasi? I mean, that's not.
Right.
So.
What is your name, by the way?
Sorry?
What is your name?
Shmuel Rothstein.
From where?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. Very nice. And you a shaliach there? You a ba'abas, a rebbe?
Shaliach.
A shaliach. So you're a shaliach in Baltimore. My cousin is a shaliach in Wilmington, Delaware. That's almost right around the corner.
What's his name?
Well, he's actually married to my cousin, Vogel.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, his wife is my cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, very good. So when we have a shot, we'll ask you. Okay, bye. There was no point. Okay, it fell flat.
Okay.
Nice try.
What is this?
Of course, hey, can't ever try. I'm gonna go
But
for it.
What is this Prince idea?
the Prince idea is like this. What Sadia wanted me to get into a fight about is that in
I guess obviously also we both guys kind of mutually didn't want to like bring anything up. There's concepts obviously brought up.
what he wanted me to get into a fight about is that in Chabad there is a doctrine of Yechida Klolis. Have anybody here ever heard of that before?
What?
Well, Yechida Klolis.
It's ridiculous.
You're the only one who's been here from Mashiach Shir?
No, I've been here.
Oh. Okay, so you can put him on. We'll talk about Chabad fight.
No, but
And then none of them have heard it, so what am I supposed to do?
yeah, but there's a question I have before you put them on.
Yeah.
Could you say? I mean, I believe that Mishachis are not so there, so I don't believe it. But if they are there and they are 100% some of the Mishachis, could you say that that Christianity is very similar to believing in one Mashiach?
Early Christianity.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it got all the divine stuff, yeah. Yes.
So the Crusades weren't.
What? No, it's way before that. Anyway, guys, in order to understand this, you have to understand a little bit of basic Kabbalah. Kabbalah 101. Okay? So we have, in Kabbalah, there are 5 parts of the soul. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida. Now, it's interesting. I am listening now in the car, the CD, about past life regressions. Past life regressions means when you remember past lives in psychotherapy and you deal with unfinished business, which is left over from previous lives. And it's interesting that, what?
I can't even deal with this life thing.
Right. Well, it could be that you can't deal with this life because you didn't deal with the past life. That's what they hold. Anyway, of course, it's full of all sorts of interesting concepts, which I don't know if I believe or don't believe, but they have in the Tibetan sources, which they base themselves on, a parallel to Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. They do exist there. There is what they call the ethereal body, and they have this. The Ruach is the emotional body, and the Neshama is the intellectual body. Now, this is very close to what we say, although it's not quite the same thing. From our perspective, we not being Tibetans, we hold that the Nefesh is, in fact, the part of the soul that animates the physical body. Very similar. The Ruach is the power of speech. Now, this is where we differ with the Tibetans. We hold that the emotions are primarily located in the Nefesh, right? Your animal soul is what emotes, because animals emote too. But it does certainly affect your spirit. And your spirit is your power of speech. And therefore, of course, when we experience spirits, we experience spirituality, which is good, spirituality which is bad, spirituality which is happy, spirituality which is angry. Our emotions affect our spirits. So and to that extent, we can agree that Ruach also is something which parallels in the sense that it's spiritual. Okay? And this is the main first level which is unique to human beings, and that's why it says that when Hashem breathed the breath of life into Adam, Vayipach Papav Nishmas Chaim, that's called Ruach Bayonkus Ruach Mimalua, the power of speech. Yeah. Yeah. Okay? Neshama is the intellectual part. And the thing is that among the Mekubalim, there's a big difference of opinion, it seems, and it's mostly semantics. It's not quite basic, but whether Goyim have a Neshama or not. Do they have just Nefesh and Ruach, or also Neshama? Now, if your neshama is intellect, then of course they also have an intellect. That goes without saying. But there's another body of thought among the Mekubalim. The neshama is really more of a divine or holy intellect. And according to that perspective, really they don't have neshama. They stop at ruach. Now again, it's a little bit of semantics, because obviously in order to have coherent speech, you have to have an intellect, right? So obviously they have some intellect. The question is where that intellect, how we categorize that intellect. Is it part of ruach or is it separate part of neshama? But everybody agrees that these parts, called Chaya and Yechida, are unique to Jews. They're unique to Jews in the sense that Chaya is the spark, or I should say the source of life force in a neshama, in a Jewish neshama. And they call that the spark. The spark. And the Yechida is the unity of the neshama with other neshamos and Hashem. In other words, at this level, when we talk about Yechida, so there we have already somewhat of a breakdown of the barriers between souls and the barriers between the souls and Hashem. There becomes some sort of partial merger. Of course, we are not Hashem and Hashem is not us, but there's this intimacy, there's connection between us and Hashem, and other souls and Am Yisrael also are connected on this level. That's where we have the principle of Am Yisrael is all like one body, like one entity, because we're all connected on this level of Yechida.
Just tell me if this is not apropos, but in the morning we say Elokai Nishma Shena Sati B'Tarahi. It's fascinating. This puzzles me. It doesn't say Hanishma, but it just says, if we were to transliterate, it says, "Oh God, saw what you gave me." In other words, is there some connection to this?
Yes, because according to the Mekubalim, neshama is a very plastic thing, right? Neshama Shenasata means that a part of the neshama. Right? So there's a part of the neshama which you gave me, a part of the neshama you take back from me, a part of the neshama which remains with the body after death, a part of the neshama which goes up, a part of the neshama which I have conscious access to, a part of the neshama which is unconscious. The neshama is very pliable and plastic. Also, when you have gilgulim, then you have neshamas are split, and the parts of them come back, and parts of them stay in shamayim. So we have, it's not a neshama per se, although sometimes we speak out that way, but here it means the neshama power.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to understand, because once I was taking a course on Derech Hashem, we're talking about the different things. So I say, well, where's the real me? The neshama goes back to Hashem, the nefesh somehow goes back to the ground, the ruach goes somewhere else, and where am I then? I mean, everything goes somewhere. What's the real self? I mean, which part of ourselves is uniquely me, or is it impossible to talk about such a thing without all?
Is it a combination?
It's only uniquely me, in the sense that it's in the sense of the neshama, but even there, it's not necessarily unique in the sense that it could be subtly divided. Right. Then there's going to be an affinity, right? But it's not totally congruent. In other words, let's say if a husband, the mashal is they say, I'm not sure exactly where this comes from, but it's a beautiful idea. It's good for Sheva Brachos, that a husband and wife are part of the same soul. Anybody ever heard that? Yeah. It's a very beautiful idea. I don't know if it's true or not true, but it's what? Yeah. Okay. What is? I can say it's
by introduction that it's a man's job to find
his lost part. His lost part.
So
it doesn't say.
Adam was a single being.
Yeah. No, I'm saying again, it's beautiful for Sheva Brachos. But the point is that but if that is also a similar idea. There are two persons who share the same neshama, so too you can have two people, you and your previous Gilgul or your next Gilgul, who have the same neshama, but yet you are now separate beings. Mm-hmm. Since we believe in Tchiyas HaMesim, you're all going to come back. Yeah.
I thought of a great example of how to describe that. It's like when you have a flame on a candle, and you take that flame and you burn something else, so that second thing is still part of the first.
Very good. Very good. I think they actually use that mashal. Excellent. So now...
So just when they say that Moshe came as a Gilgul of God in the heaven.
Not a Gilgul.
Not a Gilgul?
No, not a Gilgul. No. There are many different types. There are many different aspects.
Noah was a Gilgul of Moshe.
No.
Yes.
There are in Kabbalah. There are many different possibilities of coming back. There's Gilgul, Nitzotz, Ibur, and even Bechina. You thought it was that simple? You just come back? It doesn't work that way.
Are these from the Talmud? This is strictly Kabbalah?
No, it's all. None of this is in the Talmud. All this is
None of this is a principle of faith.
None of this principle of faith.
So where do we get that Eliyahu Pinchas was a Gilgul of Eliyahu?
No, it's a Bechina.
Where do we get that from?
From the Halakha Sfarim, from the Sfarim HaKadoshim.
So if I say that's not true, that's opposite.
Because Chazal say Pinchas hu Eliyahu. So we say it means, that is in Gemara. We say it means Pinchas was a Bechina, Eliyahu was a Bechina of
And if
Pinchas.
someone argues with that, that's heretic?
No. No. So, it might be ignorance, because you might not understand, you probably don't understand it if you're arguing on it. But it's not, ignorance is not heresy. It's just stupidity.
I never said I argue, I was just wondering.
I'm going to get there. Yeah.
Is there such a thing as a new soul?
Yes. That gets into the Chabad issue. Yeah. Oh, according to Chabad, there are new souls. Yeah. Okay? So the truth is, everybody agrees there are new souls, but it's a very important in Chabad.
No, I heard some Kabbalists say that there are new souls.
Today, yeah.
We're all reincarnations.
It says Mashiach comes when all the souls come out of the original warehouse. So it must not be they're all out yet. There must be. I mean, maybe we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, but there's still souls in there.
What it says out, does it mean in the physical body?
First time around, yeah.
In the physical body.
Yeah. Okay. So Gilgul is a full reincarnation, right? That means Gilgul means Legalgel means to roll back, right? You roll back in. So if a person is a Gilgul, that means that in his previous life cycle, he did not complete something, and therefore he has to come back again and complete it again and try and complete it again. If he doesn't complete it this time, he tries again. There's a question of whether there's a limited number of Gilgulim or there's an infinite number of Gilgulim until you finally get it right. But there is you come back again, you try again in a different way, shape, or form.
Do you have to be completely perfect, or there's some things we overlook?
You have to fix what you didn't fix last time.
How different? But every time you come back, you might move something.
Right, and then you might have to come back again.
So isn't that completely like a circle of logic? You don't continue coming back. There's no person who would never sin who's a complete tzaddik. So,
but usually, no, the tikkun is not usually a tikkun on a sin, but a tikkun on a character flaw.
Oh, really, Amida?
Not on a specific sin.
Amida, like anger, gaiva.
Yeah.
What
about these stories where somebody stole? Let's say, like if he steals $1 from you, you don't forgive him. Both of you have to come back.
No, you don't both come back. You don't have to both come back. He might have to come back, but not you.
I have a little question / comment.
So that's a sin.
What?
That's coming back for a sin.
Yeah, but that's a special kind of sin.
There is this thing
It's a Ram Chaveiro. That's really a bad meal.
There's this I guess this attribute that people have been talking about. How
do we mean attribute or we mean principle at this point?
No, okay, fine. I mean attribute actually, where you're not supposed to take presents or take borrow things. You're not. Is that really like a point where you're gonna be up there and you're like, you still have 25 cents, so down you go, or you have other things to do? Will they really be like that schnarry? Be like bit by bit, kind of like
Could be.
I mean, come on. Do you really think they're going to be that uptight? You can't explain things to them.
It's not you. It's not them. It's you. You think that they care?
You think the other person cares? It's 25 cents. It's $1 here, $1 there. So what? You're dead in the end. Who really cares?
You care. I'll say that. You really do care.
Good question.
Your neshama cares.
Oh, come on. There's no. I know about you, and I know I'm obsessed with any bits and pennies and dollars.
You don't know yourself.
Really?
Yes.
So how differently do we come back?
What?
How differently do
So you can come back totally differently. You come back
as a woman?
Sure.
Really?
Sure.
But then wait, so if that happens, then how does it work out? Because the woman's supposed to be a part of somebody else's soul, no?
Wait,
What?
Turns out you're.
You said the woman and the man are
I mean,
so
but
that they
like-
half for what? The same.
Yeah, but there are many. There could be like 500 people who share the same soul.
So somebody said they share the same sex soul with another
So
woman.
in last Gilgal, we could have, like, people in this room could have been brothers or something.
Is it possible?
The question is whether you.
We are all brothers.
The interesting question is whether a Jew can become a goy and vice versa.
Yeah, is that possible?
I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, why not?
Officially, it's not, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'll give you.
No, the other way. A Jew become a goy.
I'm sure that's.
It's subsequently go. I don't. Officially, it's not supposed to happen.
Why?
What is it? There are loopholes in the rules.
What?
Go up and
We're Jews. We'll find loopholes anywhere, man. Forget about it.
You only go up and Kedusha.
You know, if you believe the past life stories, which they find nowadays in psychology, then people do change back and
I
forth.
don't believe it.
Back and forth like what? Like
From Jew to goy.
oh, cool.
I heard that women like do not come back. I saw the women's
I heard that.
I heard this. No.
Women come back as kitchen appliances.
So why did they ever leave?
I did not say that. He said that.
Go look at me.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Came in as kitchen appliances.
That's what I said.
So a Gilgal is a full-blown recycling, so to speak. A nitzotz is a spark. Now, a spark means I have some aspect of your soul, but that aspect of your soul is not your soul itself, but some sort of spark of inspiration, some sort of spark of nitzotz, which means a spark. Some sort of inspiration, some sort of talent, some sort of drive, which could be positive or negative, which comes from you. Usually it's considered positive. If I have a nitzotz of somebody else's soul, it usually it means a positive influence, which I have from another soul. It's not the other soul. It's not the substance of that soul, but it is an influence or inspiration which comes from that soul. Okay? So that's why if you say that, let's say for our, making this up at random, but let's say one could say that Rabbi Akiva had a nitzotz of Moshe Rabbeinu. What's the nitzotz? It would be that Moshe Rabbeinu gave Torah B'Ksav, and Rabbi Akiva was the agent of Torah B'al Peh, so he had a nitzotz of the soul, a spark of the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu. I don't remember if they actually say that or not, but that would be an example. Okay? Ibur is more than that. And Ibur is when you actually, literally means pregnancy, but it means an additional aspect. In other words, I take into my soul in a positive way, and your soul, usually temporarily, not permanently.
Could be negatively also.
No, when it's negative, it's called the bad one is called a dibuk. Right. So, do they exist?
Of course they exist. I don't know. You believe exorcisms? Come on.
You don't have to believe they exist. I've never seen one, but Chav Chaim said has seen one.
Did it? I think they did.
Was there one like 97? Was there one like a 97?
It's fake.
What, the Israeli one?
So, yeah, Israeli one's fake.
I never heard it
That's
before.
fake, bro.
Politics is
There was
really
no videotape there, no?
No, the audio tape. Anyway, so Ibur is when I take on a different soul, and that soul becomes either usually temporarily bonded with me, and that also is a form of inspiration, but it's a much higher form of inspiration, much more direct form of inspiration than a nitzotz. A nitzotz is a spark, and Ibur is actually a part or the whole of that other neshama bonds with me for some amount of time. Okay? Then there is a bechina. Bechina is when our souls have the same characteristics. We're not necessarily related in an integral way. I don't have a nitzotz from you. I don't have an ibur of your neshama, but I have the same characteristic. And that's when Chazal say Pinchas and Eliyahu are the same person. They mean that Eliyahu's bechina, which was kinas Hashem tzvakos, zealousness, was bechina was an aspect which he shared with Pinchas, who was also a zealous person for the sake of God.
It's similar with Lavan and what's his name?
Bilam?
Bilam, yeah.
The same idea. Yes.
Well, also children could also, because they have the same DNA, so they could have the same DNA in the Shama.
Yes, but Chiddush and Pinchas and Eliyahu is even if though they were not necessarily the same, connected
No,
biologically.
because you said Lavan, because Lavan was a grandchild of Bilam.
No, the other way around.
I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Reb Tzadok says, there's a little bit of a digression, but it's an important one. Chazal say that Bilam was killed at the age of 34. Gemara says that. He was killed in the 40th year of the Jews' sojourn in the desert at the age of 34. Because it says, Rishoyim lo yechzu yimeim. Shoyim, they don't even live half a regular lifetime. So the obvious question is, forget about Yaakov's time, but it says that Paro has 3 advisors, right? Bilam.
That's Midrash.
What?
You just say that's
Midrash.
I know. Don't worry. We'll get there. Bilam, Eov, and Yisro. So the question is, how could Paro's advisor be Bilam if he wasn't born until 6 years after the Exodus? So one could say, the standard answer is that, okay, there's a different Midrashim, and they argue with each other, right? And Midrashim very often do argue with each other. But Reb Tzadok would never be satisfied with that explanation. And Reb Tzadok says something which is, in this case, is very Maharalian. Maharalian means it would be something which you would expect the Maharal to say. In this case, Reb Tzadok says it. He says, Bilam, Eov, and Yisro didn't exist necessarily. We know Chazal say, Eov lo hoyev lo nivra. Rather, they didn't exist, but besides it, at that point when they're described as Paro's counselors, they didn't exist as independent entities. Rather, in Paro's mind, there were 3 different modes of thought. There was the Bilam mode, the Yisro mode, and the Eov mode. The Bilam mode was the negative mode, get the Jews. The Yisro mode was the positive mode, be nice to the Jews. And the Eov mode was the neutral mode. Don't go this way or that way. So what Reb Tzadok is saying, it's a monumental chiddush, but it's important to know, is that when Chazal use names, they don't always mean people. They're naming aspects of a personality. That's also a form of bechina. In other words, there's the bechina in Paro of Bilam. What does it mean? In Paro's psyche, there is that aspect which we can identify with the personality of Bilam. You guys follow that?
Yeah, is that what we do for
Yeah.
when we get drunk and we say
What
that
are we?
with the Mordechai and Haman? Are we speaking about personalities?
We're speaking about, yes, personalities, right.
That's like Paro in Nineveh, was that the same idea with the king of Nineveh?
The same idea, yeah.
Well, how do you translate literally the word Bechin?
Aspect.
Aspect.
Yes.
So just that same midrash just speaks of Moshe Rabbeinu as a child trying to reach for the golden plate, and you see the Bilam was there. So that's also that forms the same category.
With with this Reb Tzadok, everything is wide open. Every medrash is wide open, which makes life very exciting.
And easy.
Yeah. What?
And easy.
Well, yeah. Well, let's us be very creative if you want.
Now, when it comes to Gilgulim, could it be like this? Maybe some people. Let's say a person is a complete Amahar. It wasn't his fault. He grew up in a city, in a county where there wasn't too many Talmidei Chacham, and it would take a very long time to travel where there's Talmidei Chacham. So he never really had a chance to be educated in Torah, right? So he dies, okay? So he says, listen, I never had people to teach me Torah. I would have loved to learn Torah. So the Malachim said, granted, you're right. So we'll send you down, and you'll be a son of a Talmid Chacham.
It's possible.
No,
usually in the Sham, it seems that usually in the Shamas, don't unless they really have a dramatic unfinished business, they themselves don't want to go down so much. They'd rather sort things up there.
Right. So how?
But I guess in this case, it would be it's possible to have an exception when the Shama demands to go down again.
How's that fair?
What do you mean? How's that fair?
Situation where what? He was put in a situation where.
Wait. If you hold up Gilgulim, if you don't hold up Gilgulim, if you're a Maimonidean or a Talmud Rapsadi going, you hold Gilgulim don't exist. That there is everything, every situation is carefully calibrated by Hashem for that neshama, for the one shot that it has on this earth, either for better or for worse. If you hold up Gilgulim, it becomes far more complex. It means that it's not a one-shot deal, and it might, you don't necessarily have to have a fair balance each time, because the balance only has to work out fair, so to speak, over the course of all the Gilgulim. That's a much more complicated cheshbon.
So why did our generation buy into Gilgul system more than the previous? Like why did that become the thought of the Judaism, the Hashkafa?
Well, it's been brewing since the time of the Arizal. He's the one who really publicized it. Yeah. Yeah, and then it snowballed from there. Yeah.
It tracks Jews to this?
Well, the thing is like this, what happened, I think, is that when Jews became exposed to Eastern religions, the Jubus, right? So we actually then went back to our own tradition, identify the common denominators, and things which were kind of like on the fringes before became far more of a focus.
But we usually, when we see there's a correlation between something Goyish and Jewish, we usually take the Jewish part of it and we throw it out. We try to...
No, not according to Tzodok.
No, because you gave an example of, let's say, mics nowadays.
What?
Use a microphone for Shabbos.
Yeah.
So you said there could be a halachic possible way they...
No, not the Goyim, the conservative and reform.
What? But it's the same concept?
No.
Okay, and then the Haskalah movement, when the Haskalah movement started, the Enlightenment, and the Jews, they decided to completely eradicate any form of non-Jewish studies. They didn't say, well, we see the Rambam study.
Yeah, so
let's learn science.
You're right. It's a good sign up. But the answer is that it was not the parallel became in the analytic approach. In other words, we took the same scientific analytic approach which the non-Jews used for the scientific world and applied it to Torah. We didn't apply it in the same way, the same things, but it was a very similar analytic approach which came down to the world. And if nowadays there's this interest in Eastern and esoteric things, so you'd expect to find a similar parallel in Judaism. Yeah.
I'm going to ask, so theoretically, it's like a person could be a combination, it could be some sort of composite of many neshamas, like the multiple personality type of thing. Is that possible? You have these things in the Havdil and the Goyish world where somebody has many personalities,
multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, where they had like 19 personalities in them or something, like 19 different people. It's like wild, but the person like a different person. You have these things. So in other words, theoretically, a person could have many people inside of them.
That's correct.
At least theoretically, I don't know what that be called.
A person could suffer very, very extreme dissonance, and sometimes that's psychotic. Yeah. Sometimes it's just that it's just not psychotic. What's the a neurosis opposed to psychosis? Yeah.
Fascinating.
So you're saying it's a result of a dibuk?
What?
It could be...
No. It's like about the Bilam Yisro Eov continuum, I think.
Exactly,
yeah.
Now the whole Prince thing that we started with?
Yeah. So, now, in Kabbalah, this is this breakdown of a soul, an individual soul. But the same breakdown applies to Jewish society as a whole. Meaning there are nefesh people, ruach people, neshama people, chaya, and yechida people. Some people are, the salt of the earth, the amaretz, what we call them, right? Amaretz means they're close to the ground. They're nefesh people. Then there are people who are, I don't know if talkative is the right word, but they have a very power of speech. Right, so that would be a ruach person, a person who's very intellectual. That would be a neshama person, and then you have the holy people, the chaya and the yechida people. Yeah.
Now, say a person is a neshama, right? So would he have the former two?
Would he have what?
Would he have the former two?
Yeah, he would transcend them. And I don't know how the former two. It's a hard way of putting it. Everybody has all five aspects. Right. But his emphasis is on the neshama, which of course requires some nefesh ruach to a significant extent as the basis for neshama. But the nefesh person might have a better developed nefesh.
Really?
Okay? Yeah.
Again, I heard from somebody that said that Chaya and Yechida don't exist nowadays.
Who?
Somebody.
That what?
Chaya and Yechida don't exists in our own Mashiach would have one of these two souls.
Okay, so he obviously wasn't Lubavitcher, the person told you this, right?
Okay, fine, but I'm saying like every other individual he only goes up to the Neshama.
Yeah, okay, so...
What makes me mad is that...
I didn't say anything yet! You have to wait till tomorrow to be mad. Can't be mad tonight.
I'm picking on the Mishnah.
Tomorrow.
What are we allowed to?
Yeah, most of the guys here didn't hear the Chabad share. Well, I'm adding new stuff this time. What?
Do you want to give another? It's been like, what, 6 months since last?
I don't know if it's in 6 months.
I don't think
But there's a-
Tuesday, Wednesday I'll make my comment. It won't be
What
too
are
late.
we when it comes to the five, we believe in the Neshama, but what are we actually required to believe when it comes to, I mean, even reincarnation, I guess, since there's both sides of it, so we can either believe in one side or the other, but what are we required to believe when it comes to all this stuff?
None of it.
We don't have to believe in anything.
No, all you have to do is believe that you have a soul which can be rewarded and punished. That's all you have to believe.
We don't have to believe in anything else.
No, nothing else, right? Yeah.
So just like
You might hear differently from people nowadays. They'll say, if you don't believe in Gugulim, you're not Pikores. But, that's because just people like throwing. I like throwing around to not Pikores too. So everybody likes it. It's fun, right?
That's what you teach it.
It's fun to call people heretics, right? In the old days, when you had to burn them at the stakes, there was more heavy responsibility. But nowadays, just call them.
Isn't it a
What?
It's not calling somebody after Torah.
Yeah, it's Lashon Hara, Ma'ali Pnei Chaver, Barab, a whole bunch of other bad mitos. V'urachum michaper avon. Anyway, every generation therefore has, so to speak, the heads of the generation, which are the Chai Yechida, and the feet of the generation, which are, so to speak, the Nefesh and Ruach. Now, a body needs to have a feet and head and a totality in order to function properly. So all of these neshamas are essential, and everybody is judged not based on whether they were heads or not, but whether they functioned well as wherever they were put in the grand scheme of things or not. Okay? So everybody's judged not by what objectively, but subjectively. Now, in Chassidus, and again, it's derived from Kabbalah, in theory, your Rebbe should be a Yechida for you. Meaning he should connect you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He should unify you with Hashem. Nowadays, and for most of Hasidic history, it wasn't viewed that way. The Rebbe was viewed as a tzaddik, who had, perhaps special powers and special access, but not necessarily that he was connected you to Hashem, unless he was a very, very holy man. And besides that, there were many Rebbes, and all Rebbes today, who are not regarded as a Yechid in any way, shape, or form. They may not be any better than you and me, but they have charisma, and they have nice spekishes, so they do a good job of inspiring them with nice beer, inspiring the masses. So when they come from royal lineage, so there are all sorts of good, cool things about them, but they're not necessarily in a Yur Yechida. In Chabad, they believe that their Rebbe is not just the Yechida of Chabad, which any Chassid could believe about his Rebbe, although again, as I said, most do not nowadays. What? He is the Yechida Klolis of the generation, the grand unifier of the entire generation with God. Sorry? We're going to get there. Okay. So therefore, let's assume for argument's sake right now that he's still alive for the purpose of this illustration, or whatever. Not that, don't focus on any specific Rebbe at the moment. So the Rebbe of Chabad, being the grand unifier of the generation, is therefore called by them the Nosi Hador. The Nosi Hador means the leader, the president in modern Hebrew, the prince in classic Hebrew, but in this sense, the conduit by which everything, all relations between Hashem and the world take place. He's the man. Okay?
Does that kind of make him the, what's that word? The in-between God and...
Intermediary.
Yeah, intermediary.
Yes. And that's why everything. That's why in Lubavitch, they actually, in sometime in the late 1800s, they came up. It's interesting. As we spoke about before, their hashpos, influence come down from heaven, and they come out in one way by the Jews, another way by the non-Jews. Like when they're the analytic scientific inquiry, so it was manifest by the non-Jews in sciences, and it was manifest by the Jews in their analytic way of learning Gemara. In the late 1800s, the Catholics came up with the idea of papal infallibility. And Lahavdil, at more or less the same time, in Lubavitch, they came up with the idea of Rebbe infallibility. And what? Yeah. And the idea is very similar, which is that Lahavdil, the Pope, is the conduit between the world and God, or God and Yoshka, or wherever else, the Trinity. So therefore, any statement which makes ex cathedra, which means in his role as Pope, is infallible. The same thing, Lahavdil. In Chabad, any statement which the Rebbe made in his role as Rebbe was infallible. It couldn't be wrong. Okay? Which
when he got entitled the Rebbe, or let's say when he was a teenager?
No, when he got entitled the Rebbe. This is actually why in Chabad the argument between Mashiachistim and non-Mashiachistim is whether the Rebbe said he was Mashiach, or believed he was Mashiach, or did not believe he was Mashiach. Because if the Rebbe did believe he was Mashiach, it's not possible for Lubavitcher to say he believed it and he was incorrect.
Rambam says that.
Right? I that's what I believe. I believe the Rebbe believed he was Mashiach, and he happened to be wrong. So what? He was still a holy man. Doesn't mean he wasn't holy. He was a holy man. He thought he was Mashiach. He wasn't. But what? No. Shabtai Tzvi went OTD.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yes, way OTD. What? Off there. Yeah. So the.
I remember Moshe Shapiro said that. I don't know if it's true. Like you always say, there's no such thing as Lubavitchers are not Mishpachis.
No. So what he means is, well, I can't explain it tonight. I'll explain it tomorrow night.
Right.
It takes a little bit of explanation, but he's right in a certain way, not totally, but to a certain extent. So, and that, again, Rabbi says it's an important point. Internally in Lubavitch, they cannot say the Rebbe was Mashiach, I believe he was Mashiach, but he was wrong because he was infallible. So therefore, if he held he was Mashiach, he was Mashiach. So therefore, the debate is only: did he say or believe he was Mashiach? Did he not say or believe he was Mashiach? Okay.
All right, but you never said it.
Yeah, but he came very close. He came very, very close. If you go to the Mashiachist websites and watch the videos, they're pretty convincing.
It's funny because somebody made it. I said it as a joke. And Rabbi said that the Lubavitch is the closest religion to Judaism. But if some of the stuff, what you're saying is true, it sounds like it's the other religion.
Yeah, but the thing is, I want to be Malamed Chus here, which is the reason why we have such difficulty with Chabad. One of the reasons is because they dress normal, from our perspective. If they would dress like the Vizhnitzers, so we would expect them to have came from outer space, right? What? With the funny hats and the funny coats, the white socks, right? So if it would dress like that, so we would expect we'd be okay. We'd be prepared to look at them as if they came from Mars, right? But they dress like us. It's just they don't trim their beards, so therefore we expect them to be like us.
Yeah, what's up with that, by the way?
What? It's a Kabbalah. Kabbalah's no chesed trims their beard.
That's weird.
Yeah. Tapi Kabbalah. It's midas chesed. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, a lot of people don't shave.
Yeah. So I think that's my theory, that the reason why we find them to be so strange is because they don't dress the part. Like, if you see somebody who's wearing a nanach yarmulke, you expect him to be very, very eccentric, interesting, right? And you're not surprised, then, okay, live and let live. But you see a Lubavitcher, he dresses like you, he talks like you. How can he not believe like I do? What? The difference is relatively small.
How come, since you both Jews, you believe in different ways?
Because we all Jews only have to share in common, in order to be Jews, the 13 principles of the Rambam. The 13 principles of Rambam are very basic, and they leave a lot of room for differentiation. I like saying it as a joke. It's not such a funny joke. But you know, the Rambam says that it's forbidden for a non-Jew to start his own religion. But the Rambam never says it's forbidden for a Jew to start his own religion.
As long as 13 principles.
As long as you have the 13 principles, any Jew can start their own religion.
That's what.
The communism.
You know, we can start the the Church of Or Sameach, right? And you know, and we can have all sorts of minhagim. And as long as we kept the Rambam's 13 principles, we'd be cool, no problem.
When I was in Brooklyn, I saw the original Church of Our Savior Jesus.
Yeah.
The original one, really, in Brooklyn.
Right. So
That's where he was from.
we could start very interesting minhagim. We could decide that besides having a mezuzah on every door, you also have to have a menorah on every door. And besides, you know, you have to have a picture of the Or Sameach in every room. You know, those sorts of things. What?
By that reform and conservatives, okay.
No, they don't hold by 30 principles. They don't hold Torah. Yeah. If they held 30 principles, there'd be much less controversy, but they don't. So
Rabbi,
that's the whole thing.
So at the church, I saw a sign in the summer, and then Baltimore gets really hot in the summer. You know those churches have like